If you're actively seeking ways to build your mental toughness, navigate life transitions with grace, or simply find inspiration to keep moving forward, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking. I am Cat and this is Yvette, and
Hello.
we have just returned from New Zealand. Actually, we've had a very exciting time over there, so we're pretty keen to catch up and tell you all about all the exciting conversations that we've had and the things that we've done, and the future of AOBT looks very bright.
It
Over
does
to
look
you,
very
Yvette.
bright. Yeah, and what was the other thing we were doing? We were hunting for different event centres that we could run in New Zealand just to see how viable that was. So we're looking forward to sharing with you some of our future events that we're going to hold. And whether that is holding them in New Zealand or Tasmania or somewhere in, the top part of Australia, we're definitely going to be doing that in the next few months. So keep an ear out for that one as well. Today's session is actually going to be all about thoughts have power and how your thoughts and your beliefs basically really mold your life. They're the things that mold your experiences. It molds your environment. It does absolutely everything.
Yep.
And a lot of the times we're not fully aware of how much our thoughts and our belief systems impact just the smallest little thing in our life. And it's one of the things that I say to coaching clients, is if you want to make a change in your life, just change your belief by 1% or change your thought by 1%. And you'll make a very big impact in your life. It'll change dramatically. So it's not like you've got to totally change yourself as an individual. It's just changing certain thought patterns and belief systems that are actually no longer serving you.
Yeah. Yep.
So what does that look like for you, Kat?
Well, I mean, I've had a significant change sort of this year with my lifestyle and how things have been going. And what I think has been a big thing for me has just been, instead of working really, really hard for other people and trying to give other people what they want in workplaces, it's dawned on me that I'm not built for that. And the universe kept saying, this isn't working. This is not going to work for you. Don't keep throwing yourself headlong into a situation that isn't going to work, because it works for lots of other people, but that doesn't mean it works for you. So have the courage to step out and do something different with yourself that will allow other opportunities to come to you. And I think we were sort of saying one of the big things is to, instead of sitting there thinking to yourself, oh my God, this is a huge risk, what's going to happen? Say to yourself, this is actually a really exciting new adventure. I wonder what opportunities are going to come my way.
Yeah, because it's fascinating, isn't it, when I think all humans have this tendency. When we think of something that we really desire, we automatically think of the reason why we can't do it.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that? All the fears, all the doubts that actually come up. And we very rarely think of all the positives that can actually come from it. The lifestyle that you're trying to create, the different life that you're trying to create from it. We kind of start going into that little monkey mind of, I'm not good enough, what makes me think I can do it, and the fear factor steps in and all the insecurities start to play out. And I kind of put it back to, I'm just going to use a very simple analogy here. When when you're having a conversation with someone and they're giving you all these compliments about you, like, say they could be saying absolutely amazing things about you. And then they say, however, there's this one little thing that I don't quite like, but it's one thing out of all of these other things that they've actually said that have been really, really positive. And then you walk away and you just focus on that one negative and you spiral down to that one negative. Yeah.
It's a cognitive distortion. It's a cognitive distortion, isn't it? And it's all or nothing thinking. Yeah. Like you take away all of the positive and only look at the negative. It's
exactly.
Yeah, I may as well not have bothered. It's like when you've eaten really well all day and you're on a diet and you're doing really well and you've been great all week, and then you go out for dinner with friends and you think, oh, I'm just going to have dessert. Oh, well, I may as well just throw it all in the bin now. All you can focus on is that one meal that you've had. It's wrong. It doesn't help at all. You need to look back on the good stuff. Yeah, and that's what we do. And society, I think, is also a bit geared towards that. I think the common themes that come up a lot in society, in social media, on TV, and what we absorb without even realizing that we're doing it. And this is very true. What you listen to, what you read, what you plug into programs your brain and your thoughts. So if it's garbage in, garbage out.
Correct. Yeah. And it's also who you surround yourself with as well. If you're surrounding yourself with negative people,
Yep.
well, lo and behold, you're going to be an extremely negative person.
You will become like the top 5 people you associate with. Like, I think we were saying, if you hang out with 4 millionaires, you'll become the 5th. If you hang out with 4 gym rats, you'll become the 5th. If you hang out with 4 drug addicts, you'll become the 5th.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're easily influenced. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Well,
we've got those mirror neurons in our brain, don't we, that mirror back and try to get us. We want to be accepted by people around us. We want to fit in to some extent. But that's the trick when you're changing your thinking. And interestingly, when I worked in justice, we used to say the number one thing. My old manager at the parole unit said the number one thing that's so important is attitude. That's the number one thing, followed very closely by associates. So if you've got poor associates who like to, and you're having a bit of a whinge, and your mates go, "Yeah, you're right. That's right. You were treated badly, and things are terrible," and they love to have a good old whinge with you, then you guys are going to be in this big negative spiral together. So sometimes it's quite difficult to change the way you think, because it makes you stop and go, "Well, who am I associating with?"
Yeah. And sometimes we don't want to lose the people that we're associating with, because we are attached to the relationship that has been. And you don't realize that through growth, you're actually going to develop new relationships and new friendships, better ones for that matter.
Yeah.
And those people that are in your old circle who do connect with you on that level, they'll continue to grow with you on that. And those who don't will fall away. But you are right in that, what you focus on is what you get. And and that's the same with our thoughts and our beliefs as well. Exactly the same thing. So if you are constantly focusing on, like, I'm going to put it out there, I hate my job. Yeah. It's a common one. A lot of people dislike their job. And if you are constantly focusing on disliking your job, well, guess what? Your job is the environment in your job is going to actually reflect back to you all the things that you don't like about it.
Yep.
Because we have what is referred to in our brain, a thing called the Reticular Activating System.
Yep.
What that does is what you focus on is what you see. And so, like, I'm going to put it out there again about you desire a red Porsche, for instance. You haven't thought about a red Porsche prior to that. So you haven't really seen a lot of them. You occasionally see one. And then all of a sudden, when you start focusing on that red Porsche, guess what? You see it everywhere. The red Porsche is everywhere.
Yep.
And that is because that's it's like wearing rose-colored glasses. And you're basically telling your brain, this is all I'm seeing. This is all I can see. This is all I can take notice of in my environment. So even though there's blue Porsches out there, there's white Porsches out there, there's pink Porsches maybe out there, what you're going to see is the red Porsches, because that's the focus. And it's exactly the same with when we are focusing on the negative all the time. That's what you're going to experience. That's what you're going to see. Your environment will mirror that back to you.
Yeah.
So you've probably heard in a lot of personal development environments and books and things where they kind of say people mirror back to you who you're being. And I remember when I first heard that, I kind of went, no way. I don't think like that. There's nowhere in the world. These people are assholes. I'm like, I don't think like that. And yes, you get the extreme back to you, but you've got to look at it and you go, well, what are you thinking about yourself? Okay. Now, it's not necessarily that you're treating other people like assholes. You could be. But it's really about, are you treating yourself like an asshole? How do you talk to yourself? What are the things that you're saying to you? And then that's exactly what you get back to you. And that's what they mean when they say it mirrors back to you your thoughts, thoughts about you, your thoughts about anything that you are involved in. So if you are thinking good thoughts about stuff, well, then you're going to see the good in it. If you think bad, then you're going to see the bad in it. So if you are in a job, as I said, that you dislike and you are constantly focusing on, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job, then the environment is going to continually show you all the things, like it's going to reflect back to you all the things that you hate all the time. And you're not going to actually see the good things because your focus is on the bad things.
And you're also going to miss out on opportunities as well, because e- everyone everyone can teach you something. I've learned
Mm.
this. Even a complete dickhead who is I've learned stuff off guys who have taken drugs their entire life and been career criminals.
Mm.
Sometimes they've come out with a little gem and I've gone, "Oh, okay, yeah, actually that makes sense." The rest of their life is in complete disarray, but they got this one thing right. So no one is a complete write-off. Everyone's got something
No.
to offer. So yeah, if you're getting around going, "Oh my god, this is absolutely shit and I hate this," then either you need to look at your mindset, or maybe you need to move on. I mean, I have certainly had jobs, certainly in Tasmania, where I've gone, "Oh, I don't belong here. I really don't belong here," and I know I don't belong here because
Yep.
I feel like I've stepped back in time 50 years and I don't want to be a part of that. And then, it's very difficult to make things fit when you know you don't belong, or when you know that you've seen things get done a totally different way and we've moved past this stuff and you're stepping back in time, certainly. But yeah, it is very difficult to achieve a mindset change if you're constantly focusing on the negative. It just won't happen.
No, and
Mm.
and that's also, as I said, that reticular activating system. So that's
Mm.
why it's really important that if you want to make change in your life, the first place to start with is your own thoughts and your own belief systems.
Absolutely.
And the best way to do that is to look at your thoughts and belief systems and write down what they are.
Mm.
Become aware of them, write down
Yep.
what they are and look at them and go, does that serve me? Does thinking that way actually serve me? Or
Yeah.
does believing that actually serve me?
That's
Um,
right, because it's not judging yourself then. You're not sitting there
no,
going, "Are my thoughts good or bad?" No, they're just thoughts.
they're just thoughts,
But
correct?
but are they actually helping me improve my life and be a happier, healthier person and live
That's
with more
right.
joy? No?
Exactly.
Then
And
maybe
if
we
they
need to look at
don't,
that.
yeah, so if they don't bring you joy, then the idea is go, well, okay, I need to change that. I need to
Mm.
change that thinking.
Yep.
And even if you are in a work environment that, as you said yourself, didn't suit you, you can still be grateful for the work environment that you have, knowing
Yep.
that you've got to move on without looking at it going, I fucking hate my job,
Yep.
you know? Because the more emotion that is actually behind that thought,
Mm.
the
Mm.
more power you give it.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
that's the same with that goes the same with good thoughts as well. So
Mm.
the more emotion that you've got behind it, the more power behind that good thought.
Yep.
And if you have something that you want to pursue in your life, but you're holding back because of, or not, not going for it because of doubt and fear and things like that. Again, it's the same question. Those doubt and fear have a frequency to them, an
Yeah, they
emotional
do.
frequency
Mm.
to them.
Mhm.
And that, and if you're constantly focused on that doubt and fear, then that's what you're going to see and experience
Yep.
when you're trying to move towards that purpose. And you're actually preventing it from coming to you. You're also seeing it usually with doubt and fear. We're creating stories and we see it as something that hasn't even happened yet, and we're making up a story around it.
Yeah, that's anxiety, isn't it? You come out
Yeah,
with, "Oh, well," and that's the hard part, sitting and listening to that inner voice, because that is deep inside you. It knows what works for you. It knows what works
it
for your
does.
soul. And then it's like you get down into here and you really hear it, and then you come back up into here and the monkey mind goes, "La, la, 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 la."
Exactly. Have you
Yeah.
had any experiences like that?
Yeah, I have. Yes, like I said, I'm doing a lot of changes at the moment with my what I'm doing work-wise, and my commitment to different things. So I've stepped away from working for other people. I'm committed to AOBT, and I've got a few other little projects on in the background, and I feel so much better. I'm so much happier. I actually said to you this morning, "Oh, I think I'm in a comfort zone at the moment." And you were like, "What are you talking about?" And I thought, "Oh, I can't let myself lapse into a comfort zone." But actually, once we talked about it, I'm really in a place of joy. I'm
Yeah.
loving it. So I've had the guts to do the things I want to do. If it works out, who knows? I expect it probably will, but if it
Yes.
doesn't, the actual experience that I'm having and the way my life is going at the moment, I'm just really enjoying it. So good.
And the interesting thing there is you mentioned the word expect as
Mm.
well.
Yep.
Um, and you said, I expect it to happen. Now, see, that's another thing when we talk about pursuing something that you believe is your purpose in life that brings you joy, or even if it's a
Mm.
goal that you're trying to achieve. It really is about expecting it to happen You don't just believe it, you have to expect it.
Yeah,
Because
that's right.
expectation has a different frequency to it than belief does. You can
It
believe
does.
in something, but still have doubt and fear creep
Yeah,
in.
yeah. Yeah.
But when you expect it to happen, there is no doubt or fear. You just know.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. You're like putting that destination into Google Maps,
Yep.
and you know that if you keep following the map, you will get to that destination. You expect to get there, and your ETA is, 1.5 hours. And you know that if you follow, I mean, there may be some traffic along the way, there might be a few unexpected stops, but that's fine. You just keep following that map, you expect to get there. You don't sit there questioning every turn that
Yeah.
you make, going, oh God, is this the right way to go? You're like, I will just follow each turn and then I will get there because I know
Yeah.
that I'm headed in the correct direction. And that's the key. That's the difference, because when you're in that space of, um, I really want to get there. I wish I could do this. I'm going to think about this every day and I'm really going to push, 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 push. This is where I want to be. You're kind of creating that energy of lack, and
Yes.
you don't
Yeah.
get what you want. You get what you are.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And you've hit the nail on the head. When you look at something, you go, I want that. It is a thing of lack because you're telling yourself that you don't have it now.
Yeah.
When you want something, it's something in the future. It's something you don't have. It's
Yeah.
something that you are really wanting, So in that
Yep.
want, so even when you hear the word want, it
Yep.
sounds quite, you're telling
I don't
yourself,
have
I
it.
don't have this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I want it. But if you come from a place of joy, like you were talking about before, and being in that state of joy and expecting good things to happen, regardless of whether it works out the way you think it does or not, because it
Yeah.
may work out even better.
Yeah. 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 You might go
But
on a detour that ends up taking you on an amazing drive.
yeah, exactly. But it's in that joy and expectation that you end up getting the results that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And not
having a bit of
actually,
faith,
yeah, you
having a
have
bit
to
of
have faith.
faith. But we
And you have
don't
to
have a lot
have
of
faith
that in our society.
there's something bigger than you helping you bring
Yeah.
this together. Yeah.
Yeah, because you
I mean,
can't do
there's
it
a
all
lot.
on your own.
I know that there's a lot out there, like talking about this topic, there's a lot out there on the law of attraction. People talk
Mm.
about the law of attraction quite a lot. And I think they don't fully grasp what the law of attraction actually is. It's all around cause and effect. It's all around frequency. There's a whole heap of stuff out there. And it's not about sitting on your couch just thinking really good thoughts, well, not even good thoughts, just positive thoughts when you've and thinking that that's going to make it happen.
No.
Yeah. It's actually in the doing and the joy in the doing and who you're being in that doing
Yeah.
that makes it happen.
Yep.
And when I say makes it happen, you'll start to see the events and the opportunity because of the reticular activating system. You'll
Yes.
start to see the events and the opportunity appear. As in, if
Mm.
you've got your rose colored glasses on and you may be doing all of your, I want this, I want this, I want this, because that's what you think you're projecting is your positive, I want, I want, I want. When in
Yes.
actual fact, that's showing lack, as
Mm.
well as the belief behind it. What's the
Yeah.
belief behind that want or that desire?
Mm.
What's the expectation behind that? And do you still have doubts and fears? Because if you still got doubts and fears, you're sending
Yeah.
a confused message.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Your energy's not right.
Yeah. Yeah, as you were saying, I want to go, I want to go to the, whatever local shops, but then you put a detour in to go to another state to take you to the local shops when all you had to do was go straight down here, but you go,
Yeah.
and then that's basically what it's like. You're confusing the message. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's
And
really
it's
about
not
the
I
fear.
want, it's I'm gonna get that.
I'm going to
That's
get
what I
that.
say. I'm gonna
Exactly
get
right.
that. I'm gonna
Yep.
get that.
And you know in your action, and this is the thing, I know in my action that what I'm doing, even though I can't see it at the moment,
Mm.
I know that if by consistently showing up and doing what I've got to do in a feeling of joy,
Mm.
it's going to happen anyway.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're
I
going to
had
move.
a conversation about this really interestingly with a professor at University of Newcastle when I was studying over there. He was a psychology professor, and he said we were talking about the cycle of change and how to make change and how to and how it comes into your thought processes. So this
Yeah.
is psychological, science. This is really important. So he said, I'm going to give you an example. He said, I've been all my life a terrible, terrible sweet tooth. He said, my favorite thing to eat in the world is ice cream. And he said, and then
I
I
get
hit, yeah,
Sorry. My nickname when I was a kid was ice cream because I loved it.
there you go. He said, when I hit my 50s, I started putting on weight because he said, I'm an academic, I do a lot of sitting. So he said I had to change a few things. I had to start doing more exercise and make a few changes. And he said, and one of the things I found very difficult was that my blood sugar started going up. And so I basically had to give up ice cream. And,
Wow.
because I was eating it every night. He said I was having ice cream for dessert every night. And I knew, I spoke with my doctor, and my doctor said, you don't need ice cream. It's just a treat. And if you cut the ice cream out or cut it right down, make a big difference to your blood sugar and your waistline. And he said, so this was the process I followed. He said, I accepted that going through the cycle of change, and this is the other thing we need to remind people, is that changing your thought process doesn't automatically lead to a perfect outcome. So changing your thought process happens, you go around on a cycle of change, and quite often you'll have a lot of wins and then you'll fail, but then you'll keep going through wins again. So it's okay. Don't beat yourself up when you do that, because that's that all or nothing thinking. He said, I just went through that process, and then I said, I am no longer that person. I'm a
Mm,
person who doesn't eat ice cream.
yeah,
That's who I am now. I'm not a person who eats ice cream. I used to be the person that ate ice cream and everyone thought it was a big joke, but I'm no longer that person. And that's how he thought about it. And he stopped eating ice
that's
cream.
powerful. That's really powerful because it really is about letting go, as I said, of the stuff that doesn't serve you
Yeah.
because you are no longer that person.
I am no
And
longer that person
that
because
is so powerful.
and
Yeah.
not because I can't be, because I want to
I
eat ice
choose not
cream.
to. I choose not to be that person. It's a
I'm going to
choice.
be a fit and healthy person into my 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond. So I'm no longer that person that eats ice cream.
Yeah. Because that person who eats ice cream, that doesn't serve your life anymore.
That's right.
And
Ice
so,
cream is neither good nor bad. It's
yeah,
just it doesn't work for me at this stage of my life.
so I need to let it go, and that's because it no longer serves me. So it again, it's the same thought pattern that I was
Yeah.
talking about before of going through
Yep.
some of your negative thoughts or your fears or your doubts, insecurities, whatever they are, and looking at them and going, does this thought serve me?
Yep.
Um, in the direction that I want to go with my life, is it going to continue to serve me?
Mm, mm.
And it could even be, it doesn't even have to be thoughts that are negative. It could even be thoughts that are generally pretty good, but because of where you want to be in your life, it doesn't serve you anymore. So you need to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what could be an example of that though?
Well, it could be, okay, I'm going to use an example of gym. Okay. A lot of people go, I love the gym. And I'm going to use an example of running. I used to run, I used to be a runner.
Mm.
And I was a sprinter when I was like an athletic sprinter. Then I went to swimming, but running was my thing.
Mhm.
And when I actually left school and I wasn't doing competitive running anymore, I started going, oh, I might do jogging. And I had to change my style of
Mhm.
running. So that was a big thing because I
Yeah.
was used to doing, you've got fast twitch muscles that are different.
Yes. Yes.
Sprinting versus long distance, your breathing rate is different for sprinting versus long
Mhm.
distance. So I had to
Mhm.
totally change my style of
Yeah,
running
right.
as well.
Yeah.
And running was still really cool. I still loved it. But then all of a sudden I had to change my style of running and go, okay. And that took a lot. That took a
Yeah. That's
different
really
way of looking at
interesting.
it, a different way of thinking,
Yep.
and also not giving myself a hard time about going,
Mm.
I'm getting out of breath really easy with this because I had to change my pace as well. I had to slow
Yeah.
my pace down, and then get the breathing in sync with the new pace and everything like that.
Mm.
Build up the different
Yep.
muscle group for the long distance running. And I mean, I never did marathons and stuff like that, but just even getting to 10K was a big thing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
huge. Yep.
and then I did that for a period of time, and I enjoyed the running. And then what happened after a while was my joints just started.
Mm.
Age thing, my joints just started going no
Don't
longer.
like it.
Now I could
Mm.
keep pushing through that and keep pushing through the pain,
Yeah.
but I was going, no, something has to change here.
Mm.
So then I adjusted it, and again, it wasn't that fitness wasn't good for me anymore. It was that particular style of exercise
Yep.
wasn't suited to the evolution of the next evolution of my body. Yeah,
That's
my
right, 'cause
body
we change.
we change. Yeah, and as a
Mm.
female, you go through a lot of major changes. Joints can
Yep.
be affected and everything like that. So then I went from that to doing back into martial arts, and really, really enjoyed that. And then from that, I went into rowing and things like that. And
Yep.
so I'm always constantly adjusting and looking
Mm.
at the different types of fitness or exercise I do based on what my body's asking for and needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Same.
So
Same.
it's not that as it says, it's not that exercise is bad. It's that
No.
that particular type of exercise wasn't suited for me anymore.
Yeah, I stopped doing pump classes sort of about a year and a half ago because I found as I'm going through menopause, my joints just I don't recover. I can't
Yeah,
recover. I'm in agony for days afterwards for no reason.
yeah,
And this is a really common thing. And then combine that with the stress of working in jobs that I didn't enjoy or places that I didn't enjoy working in. Cortisol levels go through the roof. So then walking outside in nature, getting out and doing long distance walking, perfect.
yeah,
Bit of
yeah,
yoga, think I'll probably go back and lift some weights because I really enjoy that. But
yeah.
that's, and that's what it's all about. Let's not, that's the thing, isn't it? What you're
It's
talking about
adjusting.
there is
Yeah,
adjusting and embracing change and noting that change of your mindset, of the way you think. It doesn't have to be 300 or 180 degrees. It doesn't have to be a massive change. It can be a
no,
2 mil shift. I think Tony Robbins talks about he made a 2 millimeter shift in his thinking, or he said the best plastic surgeons in the world, when they make adjustments to like people with large noses or whatever, they take off 2 mil, and
yeah,
that's all it takes. It doesn't have to be a massive earth shattering change. And these are the things that when you're having those conversations with yourself and you're sitting there and you're looking and talking to yourself about this sort of stuff and looking at your inner landscape, what do I need? What do I need? And this is how you constantly stay in touch with yourself. And if you're having those thoughts and conversations with yourself and thinking about that stuff and feeling what it is that you need, you're lapping probably 80% of the people that are sitting on the couch watching Netflix.
yeah. Even just having that thought about, that awareness of sitting down and reviewing your belief system and your thought
Yep.
patterns and reviewing that and asking that question of,
Yep.
does it serve me? I would say 1% of people do that.
Yeah.
There's not very many people out there that
No.
have that level of awareness.
No.
And the funny thing is as we were speaking about earlier on about that mirror effect of your environment and the people around you will mirror what you think about yourself and
Mm.
the
Mm.
thoughts and what you think about, you know, your constant conversation. Your environment is showing you that,
Yep.
and it's also because you're focusing on that too.
Ugh.
Uh, However, when you start to change those thoughts to be in alignment with you from a place of joy,
Mm.
it's fascinating how that environment totally changes
Yeah,
as
I've
well.
experienced that this year. I've really experienced it this year, It's funny, isn't it? And because you don't have to have all the answers either. You've
No,
just got to say to yourself, "Okay, I know that the way I'm doing this isn't working. So what would it take to make things work a bit better for me?" And then make a few changes. And then suddenly things will start popping up for you. They'll start falling into your lap. That's the proper law of attraction. You've changed your mindset, you're throwing out a different energy, the universe goes, "Oh, okay, this is what she needs," and that attracts it to you. That's how that works.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
That's also the thing about, you hear people talking about karma a lot as well.
Oh, karma.
Karma, so good karma, bad karma, karma, they'll
Mm.
get their karma.
Mhm.
What does that actually mean? They'll get their karma. Why does karma happen? Now, we can sit there and saying, oh, karma is because you've done stuff in past lives. I've heard people talk about that. There's certain philosophies that talk about it's from your past life and now you're
Mm.
karma. I like to simplify it even more than that and kind of say, to me, what karma actually is your thoughts. It's what you think and believe about the world around you and about yourself.
Yep.
And I mentioned about that mirror effect happening, that your environment and the people around you will mirror back to you what you're thinking, what you believe. That's just what's going to happen. So the
Yep.
responsibility is actually on yourself to change that. So that is what karma is. Karma is you getting the effects back, like the
Mm.
rebound effect back from your environment based on what you're thinking and believing about you and everything else.
So you get what you think you deserve.
Correct.
So if you're
And it's
copying
your
bad
karma.
karma all the
And that is your
time.
karma. Karma is not good or bad. Karma just is. It's an effect, a
Mhm.
cause and effect. So
Mm.
the cause is your thinking, your belief. The effect, it's going to show you that in your environment, whether it's through the people you're interacting with or whether the environment as a whole.
Mm. Mm. Yep.
So you
So,
want to
I
change.
mean, people have
You
bad
change.
circumstances and unlucky things happen to them. So obviously that's not karma. That's just life that happens. But I suppose how they manage that and how they respond to that situation is the key then.
I would still, yes, there's that, but I would also still say that there is a level of karma there because it comes back to what have you been thinking? Now, you may not necessarily be thinking about a particular event happening, like going,
Mm.
this is going to happen, this is going to happen. It
Yep.
comes back to what I was saying about before. How do you speak to yourself?
Yeah.
Do you treat yourself with respect? Do you think
Mm-mm.
you're worthy of things? Do you allow fear to dictate and run your life?
Mm.
How do you talk to yourself when no one else is looking?
Mhm.
How,
Mhm.
what is it that you really believe about you?
Yeah.
Do you have a good relationship with yourself? What's that self talk?
Mm.
So that's why those events can happen because of how you're treating yourself. And you've got, that's where I'm talking about karma from a belief system perspective, not from a, um, you were talking about, events happen. Yeah. But
Mm.
there are certain events that will happen because of how you think about you and how
Mm.
you're being.
Mhm. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I look at that and I think, yeah, I get what you're saying with that, but I also I think I've read somewhere that psychopaths don't have any remorse and they don't worry
No.
about what
Yeah.
they've done. So they often cruise through life pretty well because they don't give a shit and they think that they deserve everything that they possibly
But they
want.
will have other things happen to them because of the actions that they take. So your actions have an effect, cause and
Okay, so
effect.
actions as well. So even if
Yes.
you believe
So
that,
everything
okay,
has a cause and effect.
so
Yeah.
if you're being a complete asshole at some point, well, I suppose other people's karma might catch up with you.
Exactly.
Mm,
So
yes.
everything there is cause and effect to everything. And so I'm just putting it out there that karma is also around your thoughts and your belief systems.
So if you
And
want life to be better,
you change,
be kinder to
be kinder
yourself
to yourself.
in the way
Yeah.
that you think about yourself in a loving way and a kind way. But also that's where self-care comes in, isn't it? Like self-care isn't just running yourself a bath and eating half a bucket of ice cream when you're feeling shit. It's also checking in and going, okay, how is my how am I? How's my mental health? How's my thought process? What am I doing at the moment? Am I moving towards some good goals in my life? Am I stagnating? And that's our responsibility as individuals to do that, isn't it?
Totally
Yeah.
is.
That's
Yeah.
good self-care.
That's very good self-care. So yeah,
Mm.
beliefs and thoughts, they play a major role in
Mm.
our, well, I would say they are the majority of our life,
I would agree. I would have
yeah,
agreed. With what I've seen a lot of people, because interestingly, when you do I know I relate it about a lot too, but I've seen a lot of human nature, I suppose, working in justice. When I first started working there, they said that fatalism, a fatalistic attitude, is a high risk of reoffending because you've given up and you're like, oh, well, this is who I am. This is my life. That I've got no control over anything. I can't change anything. It's like a lack of accountability for your own mindset and your own emotional state. So when you become fatalistic and you just give up, then that actually is that increases your bad karma, and that is actually a real problem. So when people go, I've just given up now, that actually isn't a good thing to do. You've got to, stay on course, stay accountable, stay in that mindset, and look at the changes that you need to make. Because you think it's easy just to throw your hands up in the air and go, oh look, there's nothing I can do. It's all out of my control. What can I do? But actually, that's basically just saying, well, let the universe have at me, and we'll just see what chaos erupts from there,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's interesting when you say it's all out of my control. I'd actually say it's totally in your control. You are the person that can change your thoughts. You are the person that can change your environment.
Yep.
No one else can do it for you. You are the only person who can do that.
Yep.
And you can sit there. I'm sure there are people sitting there going, "Oh, but it's easy for you to say that you've got a good life." But my life hasn't always been good,
No.
and and I think that probably goes the same for other people, and even people who do have, what we perceive to be a good life on the outside.
Mm.
Let's look at some Hollywood stars, for instance. You can look at them and go, they've got fame,
Yep.
they've got fortune, they enjoy their jobs, because they're being creative. They're being creative. A lot of them, love acting or what have you.
Yep.
They're able to go on holidays whenever they want, once they finish a gig.
Mhm.
Um, they can have loving families if they're good at that. But you will find that there are other things going on in their life that they're not so good at.
Yeah, of course.
That is um, is quite negative. Like for instance, they may have really bad relationships,
Yeah, you
you
see that
know.
a lot. You see that a
And
lot.
what again, even though they are portraying that they've got fame and fortune and they've got all of that type of thing, and a lot of us believe that that is success.
Mm,
Uh, Success really is about having a great relationship with you.
mm,
And when you have a really good relationship with yourself
mm.
and a really good relationship with your authentic self,
Yep.
and you are living life from that place, then you find that you do attract everything else that you need to attract
Yeah,
into
you do. It just comes in. It
your
just comes
unique
in
purpose.
because 'Cause you're ready. You're kind of in some ways, it's funny, I've been following Dr. Karan, I think his name is, on, uh, Insta, and I just love him. He's the GP and the surgeon. It's all about, your microbiome. I find that really
Yes.
fascinating, and he's just launched, his own sort of, I think he's gonna do a fiber supplement, but he's launched his own organization called Loam. And for the last 24 hours, I've been thinking about this a lot. It's really triggered something in my head where I've gone loam. He talks about what is loam. It is the soil, the really rich, nutrient-rich soil that is ready to have things sown into it. And that's what he talks about, your microbiome and your gut and that kind of thing, and how to create your gut jungle and make it really healthy. And I think your mind is quite similar. I think if
Mm,
you've got a good mindset, I think if you're employing the techniques that we're talking about, where you're taking accountability for yourself, you're asking yourself these questions: do these beliefs still work for me? You're pulling yourself up and going, oh, hang on, actually, no, I probably need to tweak the way I do things there. And if I don't know how to do it, I need to go find someone that can help me figure that out. That is kind of like you're turning your mind into that loam, that fresh, ready to go, fertile kind of field, so that the ideas and the new experiences and the new opportunities can get planted.
exactly.
You
And
know what I
pull out
mean?
the negative belief system, which is the weeds, pull
Yep.
those out of the loam
Yep.
so they don't continue to grow. Just pull
That's
them out,
right.
throw them in the compost.
Yep.
That you don't need them anymore. And
Yeah.
that and there may be some plants that you have planted there,
Mm.
some lovely flowers and stuff like that, but they no longer are part of the landscape that you want to
No.
design for your
You
new
might you
garden.
might have decided you want a veggie garden now.
Yeah, exactly right. You pull it out,
Exactly.
and you let that go and you throw that in the compost bin as well.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I that's a really nice analogy. I like that because I always like to refer to your mind as a garden, and you
Yeah.
can plant seeds of like flowers and beautiful trees with deep roots, which are your belief systems, or you can plant weeds and
Yeah.
have put in. And when you don't have good loam, what do you usually have then is you have a lot of nasty bugs, a lot of bad bacteria growing in the garden.
Yeah.
Things will struggle to grow,
Yep.
in there.
Yeah.
And it really is about that the basic premise or the basic layer has to be really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's not to say by any means that um, you and I are perfect, or
No, no.
uh, that you will reach a level of perfectionism. You'll always have what is I refer to as white belt mentality. There's always something new to learn. There's always
Yeah.
something what works for you now, and the
Yeah.
thoughts that we're working through at the moment, and what I may believe about me now.
Mm.
I will constantly be evaluating each
Yep.
time I go through different evolutions throughout my life, because I'll be
Yep.
looking at it going, does this serve me still?
Mm. Mm.
No, it's not something that you go, I'm going to hold on to this for the rest of my life, because we are evolving
Yeah.
creatures. So it is about constantly reviewing and going, okay, does that, if I'm looking at going in this direction, do these thought processes, these belief systems serve me?
Mm. Mm.
And you're doing that continually all the way through, because you're reevaluating, you may
Yeah,
have
of
a
course.
desire in your
Yeah.
life, what you believe is your purpose that brings you joy, your unique purpose. And
Mm.
that unique purpose may be a particular thing right now. Like for us at the moment, we feel that our unique purpose is sharing the art of beautiful thinking with people.
Yeah. Yep.
And in 5 years' time, we may go, you know what?
We're
We've
done.
done that. We don't feel that we need to grow in that space anymore, but we want to continue that message
Mm.
in a different
Different
field.
capacity. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so
Exactly.
we may then go, well, let's evaluate what we're
Mm.
thinking about in this space. What do we need to change? What do I need
Mm.
to learn? What do
Yep.
I need to adapt so I can then move on to that next phase of my life?
Why do you think that people are so scared of change, Eva? Because that's what I see. I see people aren't necessarily scared, or like, I mean, you can talk to them and say, and that you can have a fantastic conversation explaining all of these concepts, but they're petrified of change. Why do you
Mm.
think that is?
I'm going to go back to something you said earlier on in the podcast when you said you thought you were in your comfort zone.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
people are in their comfort zone. They
Yep.
think they are comfortable. You know,
Mm.
I and ultimately the fear is unjustified because usually it's the um if I make a change in this area, my whole life is going to turn topsy turvy, and I
Yeah.
don't want that to happen. And
Yep.
it's not to
Yep.
say that your whole life is going to turn topsy turvy.
No.
Things that will actually ride the wave with you will ride the wave with you, and things that get washed away will get washed away. And it's being okay with that. But a lot
Mm.
of people, they just
They're
get
not
stuck in
okay
that
with that.
comfort zone, you know?
They're not okay
And
with that.
no,
Mm.
they're not. And it's that comfort zone. And so if you want to grow, the only time you can grow is outside of your comfort zone. You got to
Exactly.
get outside of that little box,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because that is
If you
not going to
don't
help you
change,
grow. You've reached
well,
a certain level, and
yeah.
even to get to that comfort zone that you're in, you had to do certain
Yes.
things to get there.
Yes. You did.
And then
You
you've just
did.
stopped and you've gone,
Mm.
"This is it." Well, I question that and say it's not it because you're constantly evolving.
Well, I mean, some people, yeah, feel that's it. They don't need to do anything else. But yeah, I personally would find, and I have found that when I do stop and I just stagnate, I get very, um, I'm very unhappy with my life. I just feel
Yeah.
really, there's just something missing. It just doesn't work for me. I mean, some people say that that's great for them, but I don't know. Each to
Well,
their own.
I agree with you that that's how if I'm ever in my comfort zone and I stay there for too long, I do start to get a bit sad,
Yeah.
and I I'm no longer trying to
Yeah.
achieve,
Yeah.
um, and that is not who I am at my soul level.
Yeah. Same.
So for me, I love learning. I love growing. I love asking why, why,
So do I. People are
why.
like, "Why do you always have to ask why?" And I'm like, "Why don't you ever ask?"
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the same in the job. I have to know why I'm doing a particular
Yeah,
thing, or just it's a
yeah.
why? Why?
Why do you have to
Um,
know? Why don't you know?
I can't just accept it for what it is.
Mm,
I've got to have an understanding to it. So that just because of that, that drives me,
yeah.
and that drives me to want to grow, to want to be a better version of myself all the time.
Yeah,
And I know some people, yeah, they're not willing to do that, and that's if that's not what you're willing to do, then so
that's
be
okay.
it.
Yeah.
That's your life. But for those people who are wanting to change, who are wanting to, and it doesn't, as I said, it's not massive change, it's just a slight change, who
Mm,
are looking at their life and going, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. I want something
yeah.
different.
And it
Then
is fear. It is
just
fear
got to
that
be
holds
comfortable
people
too.
back, you know? That is exactly what it is. Because I remember when I was leaving my ex-husband, I had a very nice house, I had a business, things were good on the outside. I had a woman say to me, "Why are you leaving? Why would you leave all of this? What happens if you leave and things get a lot worse for you?" And I said, "Maybe they will. But I expect over time they will get better because I will
Yeah,
put my nose to the grindstone and I will figure it out and I'll make it get better." And she's like,
yeah,
"Oh, you're very confident. I don't think you understand, how lucky you are and here you are throwing it all away." And I said, "I understand very well how lucky I am. And I understand exactly
yeah,
how much work it takes to be in a good relationship. And I also know that I've exhausted any opportunity of having what I want in a relationship here. So I'm going to go on off and I'm going to find it." And now I'm 10 years into the best relationship of my life, even though I absolutely can't stand the way my husband folds washing. But apart from that, it's fine. I'm referring to an incident at the laundromat where I was like, "Stop folding your washing," whilst we were away on holidays. Anyway, but no, and that's the thing. And there was huge amounts of fear and unknowns when I had two little girls that I needed to make sure were okay, but I don't regret a minute of it. And there
Yeah.
was some horror, and that's the thing. You've got to accept that with growth and mindset change, there may be some pain,
There will be some pain because the only way to grow is through pain,
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
Mm.
and and we're not talking necessarily that the pain will be events that'll happen. It could be, but it could also be the pain from your own thought
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
I would say personal growth for me from the point of view of changing my thinking,
Mm.
from the old me constantly, now for me it's a habit. I've turned it into a habit, and I'm always looking at how can I improve upon this or do that. And it's not about
Yep.
perfectionism. It's just about becoming, as I said, a constantly better version of myself.
Mhm.
But when I first started that, and I mean, probably to a point, it still happens every now and again when there's something big that comes up with inside of me. When the doubt and the fear comes in, oh, it's a horrible place to be.
It is a
It is,
horrible place to be.
it is so
It's a horrible
horrible.
place to be.
And the feelings that you get, like doubt can spiral you down so much, and
Yeah.
insecurities can spiral you down so much. And I would say those are far worse on how you feel about you and how
Yeah.
you are stopping yourself from moving forward. I believe that
Yeah.
that is the worst pain you can push yourself through.
Yeah. 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 It's really hard, especially if you've got a couple of naysayers, wanting to see you fall on your ass. I've got people like that would love to see me fall flat on my ass. And I do take great pleasure in going, life is good.
Yep. Personal growth is
And
not,
at
it's
the end
not
of the
easy
day,
work.
it doesn't matter really what anyone else thinks
No,
anyway,
it doesn't.
because wherever you go, there you are. There
Exactly.
is
Well, you
no
have to
getting.
be with you 24 hours a day, don't
Yeah,
you? You can't
that's
avoid
right.
you. So
Your
you
brain
might as
will always be with you.
exactly. So I look at it and I go, well, if I can't avoid me and I'm the one that has to have this relationship with myself, I might as
Yes.
well make it a bloody, bloody good
Might as well
relationship.
make it a really good one. Might as well do the work that I need to do to make that happen. Yep,
Exactly.
absolutely. Yeah.
And as I said, personal growth work is not easy. It's not easy work at all. And that is
No,
probably why a lot of people don't do it, because,
not for the
you're talking
faint-hearted.
about, for one thing, having faith in stuff that hasn't eventuated yet, but having
Yeah,
faith and belief in yourself and trusting
that's
in
right.
yourself that you can make these things happen as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Also knowing that you will get through those negative thought patterns and the negative beliefs that no longer serve you,
yeah.
and recognizing that you can get through them. And I trust me, they'll still keep trying to pop up until
Oh,
they've been replaced, until they've
yeah.
dissolved, until you absolutely realize that you no longer want to be that person and you let that person go.
I am no longer that person. I am
Yeah.
no longer that person. Yep. I'm the person who actually thinks about myself in a positive way and loves myself. Those are the kinds of things that we need to, step into that place and be happy with
Yeah.
that. But it's a lot easier said than done, but it can be done.
It can be done. And
Mm.
I also believe you need to have an outlook on life that all your needs will be met. And really everything in life is actually good. It's
Yeah.
just that you may not be noticing the good because of your reticular activating system.
Yeah.
But everything in life is good.
Yes.
And if we talk about your authentic self or infinite intelligence or whatever you want to refer to it, it comes from a place of good.
Yeah, yeah. For sure. Yep.
And it is, everything is it. So,
Mm-mm.
and
We're
it
all
is good.
energy. Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why you are surrounded by good, whether you realize it or not.
And sometimes it's just great to stop, like listen to this podcast and go, oh, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. I'm going to be all right, because that's why we get too caught up. And like you're saying, 90% of people I've ever seen that absolutely ruin their own lives do it from their own thought process, and their own poor decisions and silly actions come from that thought process. Your thoughts control your mood. They control your actions. They control your life.
They do. Absolutely.
Mm.
Cause and effect. Yeah.
Yep.
I like that conversation.
Oh, I loved it. That's why I
Yeah.
love showing up here. It doesn't feel like work at all. It's just joy.
It is joy.
It's
And
easy.
that's exactly what it is. When you are doing things in joy, it is easy. It is good.
Mm.
It is fun. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, if you've actually enjoyed hearing us today, we'd love to hear your comments. Please place them in any of the comments down below on the YouTube channel, or you can come and follow us on Facebook. We've got the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast community group there. Check us out. Love for
Yep.
you to join us there. We are trying to create a real community in there, you know, get people to start interacting with each other, and also be able to provide us with some insight into what you would like us to actually discuss. Because between Kat and I, we've got some pretty experienced, well, I was going to say lived experienced,
Yeah.
you know, gosh, we've got 100 years between us.
Yes.
If not slightly more than 100 years experience. So yeah, we can definitely love to hear your thoughts on things, how you're actually finding the podcast to date. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we really are about creating unity and a great community so we can make a difference on this planet.
That's right. And ask us a few questions. If you're not sure on anything, you want clarity on something we've discussed, ask us a question. We are here. We would love to be of service.
Yeah, absolutely. So to remember to think beautifully and live brilliantly. Until next time, guys. Ciao.
Bye.
We'd like to say a huge thank you to our incredible audience for your continued support. Our mission is to ignite your spark, empowering you to be a beacon of light for others. We'd love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions that you would like answered in future episodes, or just want to share some insights, connect with us on our Facebook community page. If you're looking for additional resources, go to our website. You'll find the link below. And remember, the absolute best way to help us grow is to share this episode with your friends and family, and to subscribe to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. So until next time, think beautifully and live brilliantly.